Welcome to Truth by Billie Beene. Today's date, September 2nd, 2025, time in Texas, about 8 p.m. So some of the things we'll cover. The U.S. Strikes Venezuela and what's going on in the tropics. So let's get started. So we've got the U.S. Tropic-wise, we do have something coming off of Africa, still thousands of miles away. 30% chance of development in 48 hours, 70% in 7 days. Believing to come into the Atlantic, but most likely to turn away from the Atlantic. Now we have a new prediction by the Climate Prediction Model that just came out this week for a possible development in the Gulf of America from past Florida all the way over to Texas. So we'll definitely have to keep our eye on what's going on there. And in space weather, we still have the mysterious Atlas comet coming toward Earth. We have Dr. William Mount reporting we currently have globally 46 volcanoes erupting. We had late last night and early this morning a G2 geomagnetic storm based on some flares from the sun. In the last 24 hours, mostly M flares. Ben Davidson on YouTube Space Weather, formerly Suspicious Observers, reports a good science paper has come out tying geomagnetic storms to human health. And I found this curious. Also, changing road conditions with regard to the, asphalt and other things for the road, and increasing car accidents. So that's going on. And now we have this. And also in Afghanistan, we had late Sunday, we had a major earthquake, 6.0, very shallow, 5 miles, occurring between the border of Pakistan and Afghanistan, immediately killing 800 people and injuring thousands. So prayers out to Afghanistan. And we have this. Now, we have this dust-up going on between the U.S. military and Venezuela. In my last report, I said we had 8 warships in this area. And then we have also 2 nuclear subs. We have AWACS surveillance planes, several of them, P-8, plus other military assets. So we have down to Central America, South America, and then we've got Venezuela. And just off the coast of Venezuela, we've got a couple of islands, Tobago and Trinidad. Well, we have many islands, but these 2 in particular I'll talk about. Now, late last night, New York Prepper put out that the U.S. military was broadcasting over their primary nuclear radio channel a weather report, weather facts for the Caribbean and Venezuela. And New York Prepper put forth, that's something you do prior to a hit. Then later today, late this morning or early afternoon, the U.S. military, U.S. Southcom, made a strike on a Venezuelan boat that was carrying TdeA cartel members, killing 11 and sinking the boat believed to be carrying drugs. 11 dead, and it was cartel ship TdeA. We have Mary GREELEY also reporting on that, as well as BREITBART and other sources. The U.S. hits a Venezuelan cartel TdeA ship. Now, it's believed, according to Secretary of State Marco Rubio, that the boat was heading toward these islands, Tobago, Trinidad. And these islands are roughly 400 miles from Venezuela. We know that nations have a territorial claim, and that claim goes out about 230 miles. The U.S. military hit the Venezuelan boat in international waters. So that's going on. President Trump was given the information about the strike by General Dan Kane, chairman of the Joint Chiefs. And this has to do with a recent order signed by President Trump saying that the U.S. military could strike against certain Latin American cartel assets, including Venezuela, TdeA, designated by the U.S. as a terrorist group, as well as another Venezuelan cartel group, De Los Soles. And it's believed that Maduro, the president of Venezuela, heads up these cartel groups. And the hit took place in the southern Caribbean Sea. And as I said, it's believed the boat was going to Tobago, Trinidad. So we see this dust up. My last video I put out, we had 8 warships here, 2 nuclear subs, and other military assets. Now we see President Trump, and there are many Coast Guard boats and law enforcement individuals also with the U.S. military. Their primary job is to make arrests. So I believe that, it's going hot, baby. That's what we're seeing. Now we'll talk about a little bit about international war efforts. We know that, according to Martin Armstrong, his predictive software Socrates, Europe wants war, war, war. And the President Trump is rightfully distancing the U.S. from NATO and the European war because the American people do not support war. Now, with the cartels, they have invaded America. So, that's a fight the American people support. So now we'll talk about what's going on so we have Belarus, Ukraine, Russia. And Alex Christefero reports we had a Russian representative displaying a map, and it's believed this map shows what Russia wants to take in Ukraine. And that would be the already claimed areas, Luhansk, Donetsk, Zaporizhzhia, Kherson. And the map shows also Odessa and Transnistria, currently a part of Moldova. And we understand the deep state-controlled NATO now is trying to get Moldova to come into NATO so they can scurry in there like rats and claim Article 5. Yeah, it takes years to get a new nation into NATO. So that's really not going to happen, I believe. But they're trying at any rate. Even though you're not in NATO, we'll come in and attack. Shut up. And we have this. Now, in the Middle East, we have this going on, and I think I had put forth on one occasion that I believed when the U.S. went hot with the Latin American dust-up with cartels, that it was very likely we would see hotspots that would be in Ukraine, also the Middle East. And what we're seeing is Turkey moving to Cyprus. Now, the island of Cyprus is half owned by Turkey and half by Greece. Turkey, in the last 24 hours, increased their troops here to 100,000. A critical military move, it's believed, associated with Israel doing something. So that's going on. So we have Turkey moving troops. We have now Germany going communist, full-blown communist. We saw Romania go full-blown communist with regard to their elections. We saw that a few months ago when they got rid of the citizen-elected Georgescu and replaced him with the deep state. So Romania's gone communist. Now we see Germany doing the same, going communist. In the last 2 weeks, they're called AfD political candidates, and these would be analogous to the Republicans or MAGA, conservative German citizens. 4 of their candidates have suddenly and unexpectedly passed away. 3 of them, they were all male. 3 were 59 and 1 was 71. And you know definitely it's a deep state plot because there's no coverage of these deaths by the German press. So the 4 candidates who suddenly and unexpectedly, political candidates, passed away. Wolfgang Setz. We have Stefan Berenes, Wolfgang Klinger, and Ralph Lange. Yeah, all of a sudden, and there's no police investigation. Yep, that's going on. So we see also Germany going communist. We have this from DISCERN on Steve Quayle's aggregate site. Lots of things are happening in September. We have a blood moon, which is like a moon eclipse, September 7 to 8. We have a NATO exercise, an emergency management exercise in Bulgaria. So we've got Ukraine. We've got Poland, Slovakia, Hungary, Romania, Bulgaria. So we see a large NATO exercise going on in Bulgaria. And we know how easily military exercises can go hot. September 17 and 19, President Trump is to take a visit to the UK. September 21, there's a partial eclipse of the sun that can be seen from New Zealand to Antarctica. And what goes on in space can impact world events. And we have this, October 3, we have that weird comet spaceship Atlas coming close to Mars. And we have September 23, the UN. In the UN, we have several nations who are going to stand up and say Palestine is an independent nation. There would be France, UK, Canada. And we have a lot of chatter about war. And that correlates to Martin Armstrong's predictive software Socrates. September would be a war panic cycle month. So keep your powder dry, baby, and I believe we're seeing now this hot military kinetic action going on against Venezuela. I believe it's going to spread Venezuela, Colombia, Mexico, like that. We may also begin to see inside the U.S. these pre-positioned cartel groups trend to Aragua Plus with their pre-positioned weapons. We might see some efforts against American citizens, but that correlates to President Trump also spreading out the U.S. military in about 19 U.S. cities. So it's good to be in prayer for America, President Trump, the U.S. military, and world peace. I love you, and I'll see you soon.